Hey everyone, what's up? I started teaching my wife how to program, and I noticed that she has quite a lot of problems with callbacks. So I tried to explain her and to really understand what does it mean and how does it work, and when it should work. As you're just starting to program and you're learning JavaScript, you're probably focusing on the, let's call it, one by line programming. So when somebody tells you there is a callback, or for example timeouts or Ajax responses or async calls, so it can get a bit confusing and you can't really grasp what is callbacks and how does it work exactly. So I just wanted to create this, let's call it quick video, and really how to explain what it does and how it works. So first I'll publish this post in my blog just in case. It will look much better, and I'll just mark down that I'm working for myself, and I'll just start from showing the code. Well, first of all, in JavaScript, callbacks or functions are just like any other variables. That means that var a, let's call it var n equals 5. That means var n is an object type number. It's an object like any other thing. And if you have an object, a variable s that equals something, that means that s is an object of type string. Same if I've got an ARR and it is an array, that means this is an object of type array. And same if I'll do obj and I just have an object right here, that means that obj is a type of an object of an object. That's a type of an object. So if I'll do something like this, let's call it func, and I'll define the function right here. It won't accept any parameters, and let's say just returns 1. It doesn't really matter what the function does now. That means that func is a type, is a function, is an object of type function. That means that everything in JavaScript is an object, but specific type of object. So you can see all of those are just variables. Let's remove all of this. So if I go now and type console log, let me just move myself, and let's say console log nsar obj and func, and I want to console log. As you can see, 5 assess the array, the object, and the function. See, all of those variables can easily be logged out. So if you have this variable that is a type of function, that means that I can just run func. Let's make the function console log something so you can see something to the screen. Say g logged inside the func variable. That means that if I run this function again, let me clean this out, you see logged inside the func variable. Okay, so that's easy. I can just take the variable name and call it just like a function. That means that if I do something like this, and another func equals func. Now it's not duplicated, just to make sure that you know that. And another func will get this call as well, and it will do exactly the same. This runs this function as well, because we are not cloning, we're just, let's say, pointing to the same address. It's just a pointer to this one. So you can see that we can just assign variables and to the function. That means the variable is a function, and we can easily call that. Okay, so after we passed the variable type of functions, we can now see how we can use it. So when do you use callbacks? Let's say that you have set timeout. That means, as you can see here, you have an handler, time handler. This is a function, the callback that needs to be called. and let's say it will be our func from before, and timeout. This is a number, and how long from now this will be called. Let's say 3000 milliseconds, that means in 3 seconds from now, this func will be called. So let's now run it. And we have a small error, func is not defined. Let's call it another name, FC1. Not sure why, but just in case. Great. Okay, so let's run it again. 1, 2, 3. I was a bit faster. So you can see we waited 3 seconds and then the console log ran. And we can do it again. 1, 2, 3. Yes. Okay, so you can see it can wait and then it happens. Let's do it a bit shorter. And you can see it happened after 1 second. So that means we can pass a function right here. This is the callback, and it will be used. So when do we use the concept of timeouts? We can use it for set interval that gets a callback as well, and a number of seconds that it will run every x time for x seconds or x milliseconds each time. That's called the name of interval. That means that FC1 1000, that means that each second that will pass, we will run this function. Okay? Other things that we probably can use it, let's say in the browser or within the server when we have AJAX calls or HTTP requests. Let's say something like that, HTTP. I don't mind the syntax, just the name. HTTP. Autocomplete, let's just use an example of fetch. Okay, let's not mind the syntax. The syntax is not right, I'm just giving an example. I'm sending a GET request to google.com items. Okay, and whenever this request will respond, I want this function to get called. Okay, so that means because we are sending an HTTP request could take 100 milliseconds, and it could take 1 second, 10 seconds, or even more. So we don't know how long we should wait or when the data will come through. We just need to wait. We are not really waiting, we are telling this code to call my function whenever the data is ready. That means that it will give me the response, something like this, response. And I have it like response.data. Okay? So, calling this function, I'm telling whenever the data is ready, just call my function with the response that you got. So this is how you handle the callback. Another example, what you probably know from jQuery if you get used to it, or if you're just using JavaScript, plain JavaScript, or React, or whatever. So you have, let's say in the DOM, you have a button. So you could do something like this, document, maybe it's D, I'm not sure. I haven't used it for quite some time. So let's say we get document by ID, and the ID is main button. It doesn't really matter now. We just want to get the button. So that means that now we access the DOM button with the ID of main button. And we want to have onClick, or maybe it's onClick. Not sure, but don't mind the syntax again. And we want to assign this callback to happen whenever somebody clicks this button. So FC1. That means that each time somebody clicks this button, this function will be called, and this will happen. And we probably get an event here. And with this event, we could access the event that happened, which button was clicked, and the value of that button, etc., etc. And that's another use case that you can use the callbacks. And what else you can do with callbacks? That's the main thing that you do. The main things that you are doing. There are a lot of other things that you can do. Just passing those function and high order function, but that's out of this scope for this video, because there are so many other use cases they can do. But the main idea for those callbacks is just a variable that is a function, and you can just pass it around. And one more important thing to note, it doesn't have to be a variable, it could be just an anonymous function. Let's just go back to our previous example. So instead of having this variable, we can just have an anonymous function right here. You can define it on the spot, and button clicked. Same thing, no need for variables, we don't even need this. We just give it an anonymous function. Same if you want to have set timeout, and we can define the function right here. Function, and say G, timeout finished, and let's give it 1000 milliseconds as well, and run it. And as you can see, it works exactly the same. It does not matter if it has a variable or not. You can just pass in the function. I think that's enough. I talked quite a lot and quite long, but you can visit my blog and you can ask questions and the comments. I would be more than happy to help, and really hope it will help other people, and I would continue doing more videos as I really need to practice my English, as you probably noticed my accent. And that's it. Thanks guys.